Hello fellow gamers, redditors, and YouTubers. Steve Resk here to tell you how to play a new WWE card game I created. So I'll give you a quick overview of how to play. You choose a WWE Superstar and a 30 card deck that's pre-constructed that comes with his moveset. Each character has 6 attributes on him. So for here we have Mark Henry, the world's strongest man, as an example. He has power 10, agility of 4, technique 6, strike of 8, submission of 7, and grapple of 9. And if you notice, all the attributes are color coded with these dice over here. You have power is red, agility is green, technique is orange, strike is yellow, submission is purple, and grapple is blue. Now each character has a 30 card deck and a special ability. Mark Henry's ability says when you roll power, your opponent discards 1 card. So power, which is red, would be red on the dice. So each time you would roll, if you rolled red, your opponent would discard 1 card. Each dice roll has a color and a number. So if you would roll red with Mark Henry, your opponent would discard 1 and the value of your roll would be 10. If you would roll green, you would have agility and the value of your roll would be 4. If you would roll orange, you would roll technique and the value would be 6, and so on and so forth. In the game you have 3 types of moves. You have lead cards, follow-up cards, and finish cards. The object of the game is to get a lead and a follow-up in play to play a finish. When you play a finish, that's a wrestler's trademark move. For instance, here we have the world's strongest slam. After you play it, you could try to pin your opponent with a finish. There are 3 types of cards. Your first type is the lead card. Lead cards can be played on your turn at any time. They have no restrictions. The next type of card are follow-up cards. Follow-up cards can only be played on your turn if you have a lead card in play. The third type of card, which lets you try to win the game, which are usually trademark finishers, are finish cards. Finish cards can only be played if you have a follow-up in play, and when you play a finish card, you may attempt to pin your opponent. For a finish roll, you roll 1 dice. Your opponent has 3 rolls to try to tie or beat your finish roll. If he does, he kicks out of your pin, all cards in play are discarded, and the game continues. If he does not, you win the game. When you play cards, whether they're leads, follow-ups, or finishes, your opponent can try to reverse them with stop cards. For instance, if your opponent would play a lead strike, you could look at your hand and you could play this card, which has a stop logo, which indicates that it can be used as a stop, to stop any lead strike. So your card would go into play, the card that was stopped would be discarded, and the game continues. It is important to note that when a stop card, even if it is a lead, a follow-up, or finish, can be played at any time if it meets the requirement. So for instance, this card is a follow-up submission, but it's also a stop because it has a stop logo. It says, if your submission is greater than your opponent's submission, stop any submission. So you look on your character card, you would see that Mark Henry has a submission of 7, and Randy Orton has a submission of 5. So if Mark Henry had this card in his hand, and Randy Orton tried to play a submission, I could play this card to stop it, regardless if I had a lead to play or not. So now to start the game, each player chooses a superstar. In this case, I'm going to be using Alberto Del Rio, and my cousin Vinny over here is going to be using Randy Orton. So you shuffle your deck up, and you draw 3 cards each. So for each turn roll, both players roll a SUPERSHOW dice, and the highest value goes first.
I got 8.
So he rolled orange, which is technique,
and I will be 8.
And I rolled power, which is 5. So he has a higher value, so he draws a card and starts his turn. Sure. On his turn, he could play 1 card. In this case, since he has no other cards in play, he can only play a lead card.
I'm going to play a lead strike, the back kick.
So I would look at my hand, I would see if I had any card with a stop logo that said stop, either a lead card or a strike card. And I do not, so it's good. So since he played 1 card, now another turn roll takes place, and we both roll again.
I got grapple, and that is 10.
I got strike, which is 8, so he would go again for a higher value. Now that he has a lead card in play, he can play any other lead card, or now he can also play follow-up cards.
And I'm going to go face stretch, which is a follow-up submission.
And I look at my hand again to see if I have something to stop a follow-up submission, and I do not. So now another turn roll takes place.
And I got a 5.
And I rolled green, which is agility, which is 6. So now I draw a card, and I can play 1 card for my turn. And I will play a hammerlock, which is a lead submission. I can only play leads because I have no other cards in play.
And I'm going to play arm drag, stop any lead submission.
So since he stopped my submission, it's not in play, it goes in the discard pile. And since I played 1 card this turn, another turn roll takes place.
And I have grapple, which is 10.
And I have grapple, which is 7, and he draws and starts his turn.
And now I'm going to play lead strike, which if this lands, I will draw 1 card for each other lead I have in play.
So he has 1 other lead card in play, so he can draw 1. Oh, 2 other. I'm sorry.
And I can draw 2 cards if this is good.
And I have no way to stop it.
So I can draw 2 cards because that does not count as a card.
So now another turn roll takes place. I rolled technique. I have a 9.
I rolled power, which is 6.
So I draw a card and start my turn. So I will play a arm drag, which is a lead grapple.
And it is good.
Okay, so Alberto Del Rio has a superstar ability that says, when you hit a move, put 1 discarded card on top of your deck. So now I take this lead submission hammerlock from my discard pile, and I place it on top of my deck, and another turn roll takes place.
And I have a submission, which is 5.
And I have technique, which is 9, so I draw a card and start my turn. Now that I have a lead card in play, I can play a follow-up. And I will play a nerve hold. It's a follow-up submission.
I'm going to play a stop card, which says stop any follow-up card. And that will go there.
So now my nerve hold is discarded because he played a stop card. And since I played 1 card, another turn roll takes place. And I got 5 for power.
And I got strike, which is 9, so I will pick up and go. And now I will play my finish grapple, which is an RKO.
Okay, so now I look at my hand to see if I have anything to stop it, and I have a stop card. It says, if your opponent has another grapple in play, stop any grapple. So he has arm drag, which is a grapple in play, and RKO is a grapple, so I can stop that card, and the RKO is discarded. And now I can play a moonsault. So now since he played 1 card, another turn roll takes place. I've got 7 for grapple.
And grapple is 10, so I will pick up and go again. I'm going to do follow-up strike.
And I have no way to stop a follow-up strike, so his running knee strike hits.
And if I have another follow-up in play, I draw 2 cards. 1, 2.
So now another turn roll takes place. And I rolled an 8.
I rolled a technique is 8.
So on a tie, both players would draw 1 card, but no one could play a move on their turn. So then we re-roll. So I got power, which is 5.
I got grapple, which is 10, so I will pick up and start my move. And now I'm going to do running head kick.
That is a finish strike. So I have no way to stop that.
So now if I roll a strike or power for your finish roll, add plus 4
So he
to
played the
your
running head kick. It's a finish strike, and I don't have a stop to play it. So it says, if you roll strike or power for your finish roll, add plus 4 to your roll. So now reminder, when you play a finish card, finish cards can only be played if you have a follow-up card in play, which he does. When you play a finish card, you may attempt to finish your opponent. Roll 1 die for your finish roll. Your opponent has 3 dice rolls to try to tie or beat your finish roll. If he does, all cards in play are discarded and the game continues. If he does not, you win the game. So now he rolls 1 die for his finish roll.
Now I roll. And I got technique, and that is 8.
So now I have 3 rolls to try to get 8 or greater to kick out. So here's the first count on the pin. Technique is 9. So 9 is greater than 8. So my breakout roll is higher than his finish roll, and we kick out and the game continues.
Now every card in play clears, and you have to.
And now, for the excitement of a WWE match, after every kick out, the crowd meter is increased by 1. the value of the crowd meter is added to each finish roll. So the next finish we play will be a little bit stronger. So now another turn roll takes place. So I got 8.
I got power, which is 6, so he will draw and start his turn.
And start my turn. So I'll play a lead submission, face stretch.
And that is good.
So I can either draw a card or take 4 cards from my discard pile and shuffle them into my deck. So I'm going to choose to draw 1 card and use Alberto Del Rio's ability, which says when I hit a move, I put 1 discarded card on top of my deck. So I'm going to put a follow-up submission on top. And another turn roll takes place. I've got 8.
I got agility, which is 7.
So I draw a card, and I will play a follow-up submission. And nerve hold again.
And that is good.
So it says if I have another follow-up in play, draw 2 cards. I do not. So I got a strike, which is 8.
I have grapple, which is 10, so pick up and go. I'm going to play lead strike.
And I do not have a stop for that.
So draw 1 card, take 4 cards from your discard pile, and shuffle them into your deck. I am going to draw 1 card.
And another turn roll takes place.
I got another 10, grapple.
And I got 8 for strike, so he goes.
I'm going to follow up grapple.
And I will play It Is My Destiny. It is a stop card, and it stops any follow-up card.
So I put this in my discard pile.
And another turn roll. It stays, whatever it is. I got 8.
I got a 7.
Okay, so I draw for my turn.
5, actually.
And since I have a follow-up in play, I'll play a finish card, the Cross Arm Breaker.
If your opponent has a submission in play, stop any submission.
Okay, so this goes in my discard pile.
And that will stay, and I can go right to finish if I have one.
Right, so now, since he played a follow-up as a stop card, he's still considered to have a follow-up in play. Technique is 9.
I have agility, which is 7.
So I will play a submission lead, armbar.
And that, my friend, is good.
So I'm going to use Alberto Del Rio's ability, and I'm going to put the Cross Arm Breaker back on top of my deck. I got 8.
I got 9 strike. And I'm going to do a finish grapple. Surprise RKO.
So I have nothing to stop a finish grapple.
And now my all rolls are +2. And then adds another one for crowd meter. So all rolls are +3.
So the crowd meter is at 1 because I kicked out of his running head kick before.
So now I roll. I got power, which is 6 +3. So he has to beat a 9.
So I have 3 shots to get 9 or higher. So I need orange, which is technique, or submission, which is 10. Purple. So 1, 2. And technique gets it before the 3 count. So now all cards get discarded from play.
All cards cleared, and
the game continues. And now, a cute baby with an awesome bib. With the hiccups.